Welcome back to A Moment in History. I'm Seth Udinsky. In the mid-1850s, the United States lived under a deceiving sense of peace. So the nation had survived the scare of 1850 with the creation of the Compromise of 1850, and it seemed that northern and southern states could at least still peacefully coexist with each other, even as one region outlawed slavery and the other depended on it in many ways. In the mid-decade, the man who served as U.S. president seemed to embody this reliance on an uneasy truce of sorts that proved unstable in the following years as the nation barreled to cessation and finally all-out war. This man was Franklin Pierce, the 14th president of the United States. Now, Pierce was a northerner who tried, albeit unsuccessfully in the end, to appease southern wishes while still maintaining a stable relationship between North and South. He was born in 1804 in New Hampshire and entered the legal practice, which laid the foundation of his career in politics. Now, he also fought in the United States military. This was during the Mexican-American War of the 1840s. His service in the war, built upon the foundation of a career in politics, earned him the Democratic Party ticket in 1852, and he won the election narrowly against his Whig opponent, Winfield Scott. Now, Pierce had some aggressive policies in place in terms of international affairs, but we cannot talk about the 14th president without looking at the tension at home. And this tension, by the way, was rising between slave and free states. So the tension centered around the westward expansion of the Union. Laws were in place under the Compromise of 1850 that were supposed to prevent conflicts between pro-slavery and anti-slavery pioneers as they established land in westward territories by essentially limiting the expansion of slavery. But Pierce's term was largely dominated by the growing tension in the Kansas Territory, which was essentially fair game for Northerners and Southerners to get there and establish their way of life there. So from 1855 or so to the outbreak of the Civil War, there was something of a war already going on in Kansas, which historians remember as Bleeding Kansas. Scores of people were killed in riots and skirmishes between anti-slavery Northerners and pro-slavery Southerners. And while Pierce kept the nation as a whole from war during his time in office, the specter of civil war loomed over his administration. And he failed to win the Democratic nomination for a second term, by the way, losing to James Buchanan. He died in 1869. Thanks so much for joining me once again for A Moment in History.